What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I hope you like this video. This is Cartel Cruise Season 1, Episode 9. So next week is the finale. We already talked about that. So this episode, it's their last night in Colombia, and they're having a good time. Everybody's friends now. They all in a jacuzzi. They taking shots off each other's breasts. Nicole took her top off, so she just flowing free. And Los is in the corner sipping and enjoying the view. He said, I feel sorry for all them fools that stay in the gym to get them perfect abs, because this fat boy is sitting in the jacuzzi with he said 3 black widows. I said, okay. 4 black widows. I said, okay, Los. But I understand where he coming from, because, it was 3 beautiful women, and he was sitting there chilling, and he was eating it up. And they were just having a good time. They got drunk and all that good stuff. And so they leave the next day. They're coming back, and all of them are bringing something back that, I guess, a lesson learned. And we see, when they get back, we see Stephanie is in the studio. And Stephanie said, I really want to, I have this new single that's coming out, and it's, and it sounded nice. Like, when they were first playing it, I thought it was J-Lo or something. I like the song. I really do. I hope it's a single soon, because I would download it. I like it. And Mac Main came through, and it was another rapper with him, and they were talking about how the song was nice. And she was saying how she wanted to have like a single release party, right? So that's going to be the finale. Next week is her single release, and that'll be the big finale. Okay, so we'll get to that. Kat is dealing with the father of her son. She's like, he was the love of my life. Right before he got arrested, he cheated on me. We broke up, and I'm just not sure where I stand. I'm not sure how I feel about him at this point. She said, I know that there's still feelings there. I'm just not sure if I want to explore and act on them, give him another chance. I know I still love him. And there's a conversation with the two of them on the phone, and he's basically letting her know, I got some things I want to talk to you about, but it's really a face-to-face conversation. He was like, just some feelings I've had, some things I've been feeling lately. And so you definitely, see where there's maybe a question mark about their future together. So that'll be interesting. We see later on in the episode her talking to her mom about it. And you can tell her mom ain't really crazy about the idea of her getting back with him. But, she said, Kat was telling her mom, she said, I had to ask myself, would I be okay seeing him with another woman? And the answer is no. She said, but I don't know if I'm ready to give him a second chance. But it sounds like she leaning in that direction. And I love love. So if you like it, I love it. You know what I mean? You're definitely walking into it with your eyes wide open. She said, so if Kat decides to give this man a second chance, go for it. It is what it is. Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at something. What else did we see? Oh, we see Diana talking to her girlfriend, telling her, what went down and how the trip was. And she told her everything that happened in the jacuzzi, whatever. She was like, I knew she wasn't. She said, I think her name was Isis. She said, I knew Isis wasn't going to get mad because, she know I don't like no more girly girls. She know she ain't worried about Nicole, because she know that's not my type, She said, the person I'm worried about is Marie, because I know how Marie acted when, everybody decided to be friends with Nicole, and I was sort of like the last man standing, and now that me and Nicole are cool, she was like, that's what I'm really worried about, is how she's going to react to me being cool with Nicole. And again, that'll go down next episode. So, we didn't see Marie at all this episode, like, at all. She wasn't in any scene this episode. We saw Michael, but we didn't see her. But anyway. So, we see Michael meet with his therapist. And his therapist was like, when you came to see me last time, I didn't really know a whole lot about you. But after you left, I Googled you. He said, you have been through a lot. And I remember, because I've looked at stuff on, I still got to find that Lifetime movie. Somebody in my comments told me that they did a good job with it. I got to find it. I'm sure it's somewhere out there, Netflixville, somewhere I can find it. But I remember hearing some stories about Michael, because what happened was Michael's dad kidnapped him. And the story goes that Griselda had his father killed. And what the doctor said, how do you feel about that? Like, if your mother did get your father killed, he said that'd be fucked up. He was like, my dad, I loved my dad. And then come to find out his father was killed in front of him. So he said he was 5 years old. He said, but I remember my dad was like my best friend. Like, he dressed me like him. When he would get a suit from the tailor, he would get the tailor to make me the same suit. He said, and I remember my dad getting ready to go out and putting his gun on his hip and, like all of those things. He was like, I remember it. And, this boy's childhood, like the way he grew up is just crazy. But he said, those are some of the issues you're going to have to kind of reconcile in your mind. Like, you loved your mom, you loved your dad, yet there's this rumor that your mom killed your dad, or had him killed, And, basically Michael said, look, I don't know what happened. She never admitted it. She never confessed it. I don't know if it's true or not. He said, but at the end of the day, that's their shit. Like, it's nothing I can do about it. Like, if it happened, it happened. But both of them are gone. And all I can accept, or all I can, I deal with is the fact that I love the both of them. And their relationship with each other was theirs. But the doctor told him, he was like, these are the things you're going to have to really process. Because you got to figure out how you feel about the trauma in your life. Like, the things that you dealt with, the things you've seen. He said, those are the things you're really going to have to process out. But the good news was that Michael said he found himself sort of falling back into that space. And he stopped himself and didn't let himself go there. And so that's a good thing. When you're dealing with depression, when and I'm far from a doctor, so I ain't trying to diagnose anybody. But when you're dealing with maybe not even clinical depression, but just being depressed, when you find yourself going there, to be able to stop yourself from getting to that point is a really good thing. It's a good it's a good thing that he was able to do that. Then we saw a really good scene with Los and the mother of his child. I think her name is Yolanda. Let me tell y'all something. Even when Los was getting on my nerves this season, I like Los, and I am rooting. Los, I know you probably won't never see this, but if you see it, I am rooting for you, baby. I am. It's something about Los. I really like Los, like a little brother. Like, I really want him to win. And he met with the mother of his child. He said, one thing that I brought back from Colombia was patience. He said, and I realized at the end of the day, the last time we met up, there was a lot of anger. And I was angry. And by the end of the conversation, my goal was to let her know how mad I was, not try to fix the situation and come up with a solution that's workable. And he apologized to her, and he explained that to her. And he said he was angry. And he said, what is it that I can do to prove to you that I can be a part of my daughter's life? He said, because obviously what I think isn't what's working for you. So you tell me what you need me to do to prove myself that I can be a good dad. He said, because I want to see my daughter. He said, and I want to do whatever I have to do to make that happen. And then he went on to tell her, you are a great mom and you are beautiful. He said, and I mean that. I'm not just bullshitting. I'm not just saying that. He said, I know that everything that's good about my daughter is good because of you. And she just started crying. And he was like, what you crying for? She said, because I've never heard you say that to me. She said, I've never heard this, And I really think that's what she needed to hear. Not all she needed to hear, but it was definitely moving in the right direction of him understanding what he needed to give her. And it was a good moment, and she even said it. She said, we're not together anymore, and that's not what I wanted. But I do want you to be able to be a part of your daughter's life. So I see maybe the back door opening with the two of them. Now, I don't know if Los wants to get back with her, and I don't know if he should, because he said their relationship was very toxic for him. So maybe he shouldn't. But again, I see a little door in the back opening, like maybe we can work this out. Especially if Los continues to move in the directions that he's moving in, with just being mature and everything. So then we see Diana. Now, what Diana brought back from Colombia, so that's what Los brought back. Los brought back the understanding of what he needs to do to be a part of his daughter's life. What Diana brought back was realizing how badly the lifestyle that her and her husband chose, how it affects the children, when Stephanie was talking about her life without having her dad, and how the materialistic things didn't mean shit when daddy wasn't there for Christmas morning or for birthdays or for graduations. And so she's talking to her children, and she's basically talking to them about how they felt about what happened with her going to jail and stuff like that. And her older daughter, I'm not sure how old her daughter was, but she said she remembers everything about the night that the police came. She said she remembers everything about the night that the police came. And she said she remembers that her mom kept telling her, I'm coming back, I'm coming back. She said, and she held on to that until she realized mommy's in jail. And mommy ain't coming back. And she went on and let the kids know. She said, the reason why I'm out is because your father. She said both of us were facing a minimum maximum, Lord. Minimum of 20 years, maximum of whatever. She said, but he took a guilty plea, and as a part of his guilty plea deal, he had them take away my drug charge so that I only had to serve however long she served, and I could come home. She said, so no matter what happens between me and my husband, or ex-husband, I will always, always have his back and be here for him, because he made it possible for me to be here with my children. Like, he took the heat so that one of us could be here to raise our kids. And she said the thing about that lifestyle is you never think about getting caught until you get caught, and by then it's too late. She said you just get caught up in the life and all of that. And, she said she realizes that how it affected her children. Her youngest daughter couldn't even really articulate. She just started crying. Like, she was really upset. Now, the one thing we did walk away from that conversation was the oldest daughter is not happy about her mama being in a lesbian relationship. And she said, look, I was used to you and my dad being together. A man. So she's not happy about it, but she wasn't disrespectful. She just was like, I ain't crazy about it, And Diana's ex-husband, he has a little girlfriend, And they talked about that a little bit. She said, look, I may not be with Isis forever, but for right now, she's a nice person. She, and I'm enjoying myself. She was like, so can you just be happy for me? And the daughter was just like, whatever. But I was like, yeah, she ain't feeling that. She ain't, and I don't think it's personal against Isis. I think she just ain't feeling her mama being in a same-sex relationship, which a lot of children have a problem dealing with, especially if they grew up seeing the opposite. It's a process. So then we see Stephanie. Now, what Stephanie brought back from Colombia was how angry she still was over her childhood and with her dad, and maybe wanting to somehow mend that. So we see her meeting up with her dad, and basically her talking to her father about the decisions he made to be in drugs. And what he explained was, he said, look, I was in the life before you were even born. He said that was a decision that was made long before you were born. He said, and honestly, I got caught up in it. I enjoyed the fast life, the fast cars, the fast boats, the money. He said, I enjoyed that lifestyle, and I got caught up in that lifestyle. He said, and when you were born, you just blended right on into what we already had going on. And she said, well, did you ever think about something that them coming after us to get to you? He said, yeah, I thought about it. He said, that's why I never had anybody in our house. Nobody came to my house. No friends, no nothing. He said, and she said, yeah, I remember you always being on edge and checking doors and windows. He was like, yeah, like that was just part of the life. He said, but that's not my life anymore. He said, he said, I've burned bridges, I've cut ties, I'm totally legit. And it's just not worth it. He said, at the end of the day, you realize it just wasn't worth it. Because Stephanie said, we lived good. We had a great life until it was all gone. Until you got caught and everything went with it. And she said, at this point, I just want a clean slate. And from here forward, I just want us to move forward. I want us to be a family and just move forward. And he said, that's cool. I want that. I very much would love that. She said, and I would love for you and mom to just be able to be in the same room. He was like, well, your mom, that's another conversation. He said, he said, things are really, really hard with me and your mom. And I was like, oh boy. I said, oh. But you could tell that, he said, I really want that, like that's what I would want. And so they had a moment, and Stephanie was crying and dad was honest. And she said, that's all I ever really wanted to hear from him was, because he apologized, And she said that's all I ever really needed to hear from him, was just hear him apologize and take ownership of what he did, you know. She said, but I'm ready to move on. Like, I said what I had to say, and I'm ready to really move into a better place. So we see Los with his daughter. He got a chance to spend time with her. They went to like what's them those like the indoor trampoline little places. So we saw them, and he was so happy. He was like a big kid, and he said, you know, seeing how big my daughter has gotten has made me really realize what I lost, the time that I lost. You know, he said, but at this point, whatever I have to do to stay a part of her life, you know, and you know. So anyway, it was cute. Last but not least, Michael. Now look, Michael meets with his lawyer, and Michael's last charge, I say last charge because I'm assuming he had, over his lifetime, I'm assuming he had more than one drug charge. In his last charge, he was able to get off with a 7-year probation. He's done 5 years of the probation with no problems. His thing is, what he's talking to his lawyer about, what is it that you can do to get me off of probation? Like, I just feel like I got this monkey on my back. I've gone totally legit. I have no interest in going backwards. I'm good. I'm clean. I haven't given nobody any problems. I just want to be able to move around and not worry about this on my back. And his lawyer was like, Michael, stop playing. She said, first of all, you got a sweetheart deal to begin with. The fact that you were charged with what you were charged with and you didn't go to jail. She said, do you know how much maneuvering we had to do to get what you got? She said, you need to just go on and ride this thing out and keep it moving. He was like, yeah, but I mean, it's nothing you could do. He was like, I really want to try to early release or whatever they call it. She said, Michael, you are Griselda Blanco's son. She said no judge wants to be responsible for signing off and want that headline to read that they signed off when you getting an early release off of your probation. And what if you go out here and you fuck up? He was like, I'm not. She said, that's not the point. She said, I was in the attorney general's office or whatever when your mom was down here killing people. She said, and your mother's responsible for a lot of death. And I get it that you are not her, but you are her son. And people know that. And you are connected with all of that. She said, you need to be lucky with what you got. And I got everything she was saying. I said, Michael, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere and go chill for the next 2 years and count them months down like mofos do. I mean, the criminal justice system is what it is. Do I think that 7 years is excessive for somebody to be on parole? Absolutely, I do. Like, that goes back to that whole Meek Mill situation. I do. But at the end of the day, what you would, like she said that he was being charged with some like couple of kilos of cocaine, and he pled guilty because he was like, well, allegedly. She said, no, it ain't no allegedly. You pled guilty. Now, whether you guilty or not, that's not the point. In the eyes of the law, you are guilty because you pled guilty. He was like, okay, you're right. I was like, Michael, if you don't go sit your ass down somewhere. Like, I understood where he was coming from, but I was feeling his lawyer 120%. And I like that suit he had on, too. He had a cute little print suit. I said, boy, if you don't go sit down somewhere and go be quiet and ride out these next 24 months and keep it pushing. But, you know, she said she might make some phone calls. She said she would make some phone calls. She was like, but I ain't making no promises. I ain't promise you I'm going to be able to get shit. But that's pretty much what the episode was, you know. And again, it was decent. Like, it just kind of got an idea of what everybody brought back from Columbia, lessons learned or what have you. So next week is the finale. I really like this show. I hate to see it end. Hope they're gonna give us some good stuff for next season. And y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.